1160. Video marketing is a proven strategy that can dramatically improve your online rankings, social media engagement, rates, and sales. Transforming your business with video marketing is easier than you might think, especially when you work with Website Muscle team, the website team at Website Muscle. So I've got the founder, Sam Nelson, here to talk about Website Muscle. Sam, welcome to Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, let's start by focusing on you, my friend. Do you have an interesting story that you can share with our audience about your kind of entrepreneurial path?
It's a good question. I guess I would say the interesting. I fell into a completely different career out of college. Fell into a career doing commercial mortgages. And it was doing that for a number of years. And over time, I was basically working for myself.
Right.
Eventually, I had to build my own website to kind of do marketing. And I realized that I just loved the process of building something rather than selling a kind of an intangible service.
Sure.
But actually building something was a lot of fun. And I decided to go all in. So I left that career. I had a new house, a new mortgage, a new kid, and a wife wondering what's going on. And I bought every coding book I could find.
So you didn't go to school
I did not
to study programming?
or not to study programming or design. I was actually a psychobiology major at UCLA.
Okay.
So I was going to go to medical school.
Okay.
But then, obviously, that changed. I took some business classes and ended up graduating. But over time, I ended up loving the process of building something. And so I taught myself how to do code, which then led me to be able to build websites that didn't look great. But then I teach myself how to do design. And over time, I just said, okay, I can make this into a career. And I just went out and hit the streets and started the business, and then eventually got busy, hired somebody, hired another person, got a real office, moved out of the garage.
Right.
And just started it from the ground up.
So your wife, I've not met her, but she's a wonderful person to hear that story because that's a pretty risky decision you made, right?
Yeah, thank you, Tyree.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was tough. It was a necessity, but also it was kind of like the back's up against the wall. I have to try something new.
Okay.
And so we made it happen.
Right, but I mean, in those moments, I think there are a ton of entrepreneurial stories. I have my own that talks about how having a supportive spouse can make a huge difference because you both have to be, even though you're the one starting the company and running it, you both have to be involved in the decision and committed to the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Or else it could make it very stressful.
That's right. And I would say it was very stressful at the beginning.
Even with her support.
Yeah. And then over time, we got more and more connected. And
did you ever sit there and go, in that garage? I don't know. I can only envision you. You're kind of a tall guy sitting in a corner of your garage.
I tried to get out a lot. Right. But no, I loved it. I loved helping people.
Okay.
When you're in the kind of a mortgage business, you're working, but you're a broker. You're working in between a borrower and the bank, and it was very difficult. And this was, I can really help somebody with their online business, with their website for their business, and it was fun.
So when did you start Website Muscle?
So it's been 10 years now.
Wow.
So 10 years.
Yeah, 2008?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited. 10 years is
that's a milestone. Here, bring it up here.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job, right? Yeah. And you started it in the throes of the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Which is never an easy time to start a business when people are freaking out.
But what I've learned, everybody needs the small business, kind of that middle market. They need help with their online presence, with what's going on with their website, with how to do email marketing, with how to do video.
Right. Is that your niche?
Yeah, so we build websites and we help businesses do kind of video marketing.
But who do you do it for these middle market, smaller companies? Is that who you're servicing?
Yeah, so they're B2B companies typically.
Okay, usually so B2B.
Usually professional
services. So pay attention out there, CEOs, if you're a B2B.
B2B, professional services, companies, manufacturing.
Okay.
Usually they're $1 million to, I'd say, $10 million in revenue.
Okay.
And primarily in Orange County. Usually the businesses that are looking for a company like us, they want to talk to somebody in person rather than a company, across the country or overseas. They want some real help from a real person.
So when you get in there and you see what they currently have, can you talk about their current state? And I'm not asking you to name names, so we're not going to reveal any secrets to any of Sam's current clients. But what are you finding their platforms, their websites look like when they call you in and they need your help? Is it?
It usually is just not intentional. Usually there's a website that was put up based on a template that they found that they thought looked good,
Right.
but it doesn't actually speak to exactly who their customer is. It doesn't address the problem that they actually solve for the customer. It doesn't show what the future looks like after you work with them.
Okay.
So there's this whole marketing message that hasn't been defined a lot of times.
Do they know it and they just didn't put it on their site? Or is that part of your value add?
That's a part of what we do. There was a book that came out last year called Building a Story Brand, and it teaches companies how to tell stories, how to tell the story of their business, their customer, and how they help them. And we go through a process very similar to that, where we work with a business. Because here's what I would say. A lot of them don't know their story. They don't know, or they haven't spent the time to define exactly who their customer is and how they help them. So we go through that process with them. But some of them do. Some of them have gone through, some business classes, or they've been to some mastermind groups where they've kind of developed, okay, here's who my customer is. Here's our value. Now we need to build a website to support that. And that's what I say. You need to know your marketing message first and then build an online presence to support it, rather than just, hey, let's throw up some stuff online without any real intention around it.
So we're talking with Sam Nelson. His company is Website Muscle. We've talked a little bit about his background, a little bit about their niche, a little bit about their unique differentiation. But I'm going to ask you to give away something for free if you can, because many in the audience listening live on OC Talk Radio or maybe on iTunes, podcasts, whatever in the future, how do you first help a CEO of a middle market company begin the process of understanding who their core customers are? I mean, what is that? Is there a secret that you can at least give these people to think about today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a few different ways that I would look at it.
Okay.
Usually I'll say, let's open up and look at who did you work with last year? Who are your best customers?
Because they have customers,
yeah.
right?
Who are your best customers? And then maybe even who are your most profitable customers?
Yeah, those are the ones you want more of.
Yeah. You definitely want to make a list of those. And then what are the characteristics that define them?
Okay.
And then how are you actually helping them? Where have you heard really, really good feedback from? And then we go through the process where we define, again, who your customer is, what problem you're solving, what commitments you make to your customers. What does success look like at the end of the day?
Yeah. These are all great. I hope people are taking notes. If not, maybe you're listening to the live stream, you can pick up the podcast and back it up a little bit and recapture what we just talked about. But I think I'm glad you equated best customers to most profitable customers, because I think until you look at the bottom line profitability, you don't want more customers that just cause you to work harder but don't pay you as much. It's best to get the ones who value your service and will give you margin.
And the biggest opportunity that I've found is business owners sitting down and just spending the time to think and say, where is the opportunity? Where are my best customers? What's my message? And then go forward, rather than what a lot of business owners, it's the day-to-day. I'm putting out fires all day long. You need to step away for a minute, define it, and then build it.
Well, that's one of the unique advantages of an ongoing concern, is just what you said, Sam, is that they have clients. They can look at, they have data. It's not like a startup who has to anticipate who their persona is of their ideal customer. They can look in their database and they can pick and choose to get more of the ones that they want and less of the ones that maybe that they don't want as much going forward.
And we always say, okay, once you define who exactly that customer is, now where do they hang out online? Okay. And then is it they're looking for my service already? Well, then I need to start showing up in Google. Or is it they're not looking for me? I need to do some advertising.
Yeah. I always find that a difficult question with B2B companies, smaller size.
Right.
To have them actually know where they think those prospects hang out, because that's a hard question to validate their correctness. But I imagine that's one of the advantages of a digital strategy, is you can iterate that a bit, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, iterate and try different headlines, different images, different market segmentations. The online platforms have made it so effective to try different.
And it's cost effective.
Right.
For companies
to
these
do
size, right?
Small tests.
Right.
Small tests, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can before you spend the big bucks, you can sort of figure out what's the right pond to be fishing in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's fun.
So then when you put your energy behind it, you can expect a little better return.
That's right.
And then you get the website muscle going, baby.
That's right.
Okay, so tell me the name. How, why, what?
Oh, gosh. So 10 years ago, it was, you're coming up with a company name. You're thinking, I want a company to be strong, be effective, be powerful.
Look at that. He's a branding guy, too, here now.
But I went with Marketing Muscle first.
Okay.
And that domain name cost $50,000.
Oh, my goodness.
And Website Muscle cost $10. So I went with that one.
That's a teachable moment there for you entrepreneurs, right? You can have aspirational goals, but we always have a budget too.
Yeah,
that is a
absolutely.
great story.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for
just fun.
sharing. So I think we've touched on some of it, but let me go back. In addition to this great conversation we just had, which I think you've delivered a lot of value to the audience already, we're just halfway through the interview, but what else do you feel makes your company unique? Because it's not just you with your genius, you have people. Congratulations on having people.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. A couple of the big things that we try and do as a company is we hit every single deadline that we put out for a project, and a lot of website companies don't. That's one of the biggest kind of problems in our industry is website companies put out deadlines that they never hit or they disappear.
Can I ask you why? Is that because they are over aggressive on the lead time, or they're not really staffed to do the work as they, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what is that?
They don't.
Is it the customer changing their spec on you too? Because sometimes that happens, doesn't it? A little feature creep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's where deadlines can change. Basically, those can change, but it's not. Why is it? That's a good question.
Okay. Would you come back and answer that question for my audience in the
man,
future? Because I think most audience listening to the show, they're going to go, man, the last time I touched my website, it was somewhat of a painful experience. Right? Took longer, whatever, the effort. So if you
lack of communication is a big thing we hear. So we over communicate.
Okay.
Send them videos explaining different parts of the process, explaining things that we're
and then you're local, so if they want to get yourself into their office,
multiple in-person meetings.
You can't hide.
Our goal is to be a friendly face, to over communicate, to make it a good experience to build a website. But number one is define the marketing message so that we can build an effective website. We want the process to be good, but number one, we want it to be
Is it
effective.
hard to find people in this thing? I don't know when the last time you had to hire someone to expand your team, but are you finding it? Because you're in a hot space, right? I mean,
there's always kind of designers looking for designers isn't as difficult, but content writers, can maybe be a little bit more challenging. I guess I'd say finding the needle in the haystack.
Okay.
I mean,
fit your culture.
That's right. Not only can do the work effectively, but then fit the culture within the company, and then really wants to help customers.
Right.
You want somebody who can not only do really good work, but wants to.
Because that's your brand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you started this company, was to help people. If you hire people who don't like helping people, there could be a problem there.
Right.
And I'm no branding expert like you, but it just seems to me culturally that's probably more important than their skill set.
It's all about the people. I mean, the experience that a customer has will determine how satisfied they are and if they ever refer you, ever come back.
That's your brand.
That's right.
I
think we're in the website space and the video space, but at the end of the day, we're a customer service company.
Right.
I mean, that's what we really do.
A problem-solving customer service.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right.
All right. Well, we're talking with Sam Nelson, whose company's Website Muscle. We're ranging conversation here today on Critical Mass radio show and podcast, and I just looked up the clock, and my goodness, it has spun by, my friend. We have like 6 minutes left here for your wonderful interview, and I've got all these questions left to ask him, so let's put it in hyperdrive. One of the things I was excited to have you on the show was to sort of talk about what are the smart ways in online marketing 2019? What are you seeing, and what advice could you give to our CEOs?
Yeah, great question. So we're asked all the time. Businesses come to us and say, what should I be doing going forward for their online marketing? And we say video. It's a part of your online marketing has to be video, because that's just where the internet's going. I say it's going towards video, but it's kind of already there. If you open Facebook, if you open LinkedIn, it's almost all video. And if you are a business that's putting out video, it just gets promoted to the top of the page almost effortlessly. So we always just say put out video.
By those platforms?
Yeah, that's right.
Because they want the video?
And why? Because it's engaging.
Okay.
It's effective.
Yes.
People spend more time on the platforms. It helps messages get across. Like we build a lot of websites, and a lot of them are fairly static. It's images and it's text. But a way to really convert to make a message powerful is through video form.
So if not to give away your secrets, but if you're going to put video on there, are there a couple things you would suggest to these CEOs that they like, length and quality? I mean, what are some of the characteristics of good video versus just video?
Yeah. So I'd say there's two things. One, every business should have a commercial for their business. And maybe it's 1 minute, maybe it's 3 minutes, but it's high quality. It's very well done. You're working with a very professional videography company, but very well done. The second thing is an ongoing video marketing strategy. So that's what has to be created, because they're fairly simple videos, but you're explaining maybe the products that you manufacture, or maybe parts of your service, or maybe frequently asked questions that you get. You're creating these videos, and then the real power is you can leverage them. You can leverage them. You can transcribe them and make them into blog posts for your website.
Sure.
You can post them on all of your social media channels, and that's the best social media content you can post. So we just signed and the reason why there's been such a change for B2B companies is because video is now easy to do and it's inexpensive.
Is it easy to do?
The technology is easy. Getting in front of the camera, that's something that people got to work on. And I say, if you see that as a viable option for your business, then go all in. Practice.
Okay.
Practice.
You mean
every
as
day
a performer?
Yeah, being in front of the camera.
Right.
And
is that valuable in your experience to have because a lot of these companies, I have to believe, are either founder driven still or heavily dominated by the CEO. Is it valuable to have that person present on the website?
I'd say absolutely yes, if possible.
Okay.
If not, it could be a marketing person. They could even outsource a spokesperson to come in and basically an actor to do it.
Okay.
But number one, there has to be.
What about having people in the company, create video? I mean, under a controlled environment, not substance, but yeah, right. Wrong term, ladies and gentlemen. In a controlled environment, having employees who contribute video.
That's right.
I mean,
absolutely.
People get to know you.
Yeah.
Right.
I always say, don't aim for perfection. Aim for getting it done.
Okay.
Dip your toe in and start putting out video content. It's where the internet's going. So the internet's going towards it. Now, it doesn't have to be all of your online marketing.
Yeah.
But I think a portion for a lot of businesses, there's a lot of opportunity.
So we've seen evolution in where the internet's going. Is this where it's going to stop? I mean, what's after video? I mean,
well, then there's virtual reality.
You think augmented reality?
Oh yeah.
Do you think augmented reality will become a platform that these companies that we're talking about will be able to use to change the user experience?
I think it's going to be quite a ways in the future.
You do?
But yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, technology is never going to change. What I would say, people were telling me that websites were going to go away 5 years ago, 8 years ago, right?
It's all social media, right? You don't need a website,
It hasn't changed.
No.
So it's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going for a while. But we do just say, try video because of how effective it is at conveying a message. Every time we send out a proposal, we send along a video walking somebody through it to explain the intention.
A customized video that goes with that proposal.
That's
not
right.
a boilerplated thing, but something
customized. Walk them through because we're not always even talking to the final decision maker. So we're sending out a video. We use Soapbox. It's a free platform by Wistia. It's a Chrome extension. Free. It's incredible.
Soapbox.
You're
just giving. Sam is just giving you tons of value here on Critical Mass Radio Show and podcast.
It's incredible. Please try it.
He's awesome. I've had quite a few guests. I've had 1,474. He's the 74th, and you're right up there in the top. You're up in the top 20%. Let's say at least. We got a few more questions and a few more minutes left to ask you. Did you ever have a decision where you had an unintended consequence? And if so, what is it?
Yeah. So that's such a great question.
I wrote a book about it.
I know. I know. And I love the story behind it. It's incredible.
Okay.
So I would say we moved a couple years ago, we moved towards really trying to systematize our business, kind of make it a little bit more of the e-myth thing.
You're right.
Firm deadlines, kind of a little bit more of a factory as opposed to a creative agency. And in some ways that worked, and in other ways it didn't allow the flexibility for our customers to have where their priorities change, right? Our small business clients, all of a sudden, they need to put out a fire and they can't attend to the website questions we have or the video questions we have. And so that was just an experience of going through where we're like, okay, our customer service scores have dropped a little bit because we changed our process.
Right.
And then we had to relook at it and say, okay, where was some of that good and where was some of it not good?
Because that's clearly an unintended consequence of creating a more efficient process.
Yeah.
It's not that you lower your customer service scores.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
we got projects done on time, but we'd sometimes be pulling them, kicking and screaming through the process.
Right, yeah.
And that's not good.
Okay. So there's a balance then.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You can't be on either extreme. We're not a factory, but we're also not, let's do whatever.
Right. Laissez-faire, creative lab. We'll get to it when we can.
Right.
Okay. Where do you go for outside input and ideas?
I was thinking about that. So I do a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts in the car that I found really, really valuable.
Right.
A couple of the ones, there's one called Building Story Brand, which is the book basically that we go through. There's a podcast called How I Built This, which is incredible. It's by NPR, where it just talks with business owners who built amazing companies. The MF CEO is hilarious, and that's a really good one.
That's a niche.
Yeah, exactly. And impact theory is one that I watch frequently.
Okay.
They interview some amazing people, but I'd say podcasts. I love listening, and that's why I love radio. But the time that you have in the car,
Right.
is just it's so vital rather than spacing out.
Yes.
But having kind of a library on wheels.
Beautiful. All right. He's a lifelong learner, ladies and gentlemen. Next to last question. What's your core philosophy? What's your guiding principle?
So we have 4 core values as a business.
Okay.
The first one is humility, and that is critical to our business, to myself as a person, to my family, but we bring that into our business. Second one is ownership. We believe once you get a task, you need to own it from beginning to end. Teamwork, of course, because we are all about being a team and helping
Sure.
each other out. And then the last one is balance. We want to make sure everybody on our team is fully in balance, both in their life, where they have the freedom and the flexibility to do the things they need to do, but then focus back on work when they need to. And those are the 4 core values that we live and breathe as a company.
Well, those are great, and I'm glad that you could just recite them like that. They are actually part of your culture. I could tell by the way you just talked about them. I got to ask you, though, Sam, the balance one can be tricky. It's sort of like the earlier example. It's a
That's
continuum. Right. You got to be careful how.
Yeah.
You don't want to drive it too far and get imbalanced.
Yeah.
And you can actually be imbalanced in the other way where the business suffers.
The way that I think about it
No.
is perfect balance is impossible.
Okay.
But progress is what you're going towards.
Okay.
So we always say, what are the areas of your life? How can you make progress towards them? And that's the way to achieve balance ultimately at the end of the day.
Look at that. He's ending it with deep thoughts here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. Sam Nelson, how would someone find Website Muscle online if they wanted to do that?
Yeah, so you can just visit us at websitemuscle.com. That's how you find us online. You can look at our YouTube channel, find us there.
I'm expecting there's going to be amazing videos.
That's the goal.
All right.
That's
Well,
the
thank
goal.
you for being a friend of the program and part of the community and sharing a bit of what you know with our audience
My
today.
pleasure. This is awesome.
It was fun. All right, and I'm going to thank our engineer, who none other is the station owner as well, Mr. Paul Roberts. Our 3 producers without whom this show would not go forward, Joan Park, Crystal Nunley, and Haley Stern. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, let's start on LinkedIn. I'm Richard Franzi, Franzi. And until the next show, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.